Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Straight from the Heart. I am so excited today. You know, I'm always excited. Every time I come on, I just love to be able to speak and be straight. Before I start, though, I want to remind us we are in Black History Month, and I wore my queen today to remind us that, sisters, we are all queens. And today, especially today, I happen to have a queen in her own right here in our studio. So today, I want to talk to you about a lady that I met pre-COVID, and I mean very pre, because right after that, we went straight into the pandemic. And from there, she has worked in the city council. She has been on a lot of committees. She's championed a lot of causes. She's very active with public safety in the Kansas City, Missouri district. And I want to welcome Councilwoman, Mayor Pro Tem, Raina Park-Shaw. Boy, that's a mouthful.
It is.
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much, Kim. I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you.
You know what? The good thing about this is normally I ask and you say yes. I don't know why, but hey, thank you for
That's
doing
right.
that.
I haven't told you no.
Never.
I don't think so.
Never. You never have. I just want to start off, because it's really interesting how you meet people and in the settings and the timing that you meet them. And you had just become the councilwoman. And I think we had gone to lunch maybe once or twice before COVID hit. We had a couple of conversations because I lived in the 5th district at that time. And I've always been one that says, if we have legislators or people that are representing us, I want to know what I can do to help. And I think that's how we got started. And right after that, COVID hit. And you called me and said, I got something I want you to do. And so at the time you had an aide named Angela, and you put our feet to the ground and had us up and down truced during the COVID pandemic, trying to find out about the small businesses. Tell me what that was like. I just can't imagine my freshman year as a politician and a pandemic hits.
Yeah. Well, so the truth was this was my first time serving as an elected official. So I really didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
And so had I maybe been in office prior to that, maybe I would have probably felt overwhelmed. But because I didn't know any different, we just went to work. And I'm a worker. So, it was challenging, especially the times that, we were in quarantine. But ultimately, I recognized that we had needs in our community. I don't know, if you remember at the time, we couldn't find toilet paper.
Yes.
And we couldn't find hand sanitizer. Yes. And so ultimately, because I was still working with the seniors, I served on the board of the Kansas City Shepherd Center, and I found, heard that there were so many of our seniors that didn't have toilet paper, then they were homebound.
Right.
So I actually started working, and we distributed 20,000 rolls of toilet paper and hand sanitizer through our Meals on Wheels program.
Yes.
The first responders, the fire department actually helped us, and the ambulance service, they helped us to distribute those all throughout the community. And, it's funny that it seems like so long ago, but
truly, it was almost just like yesterday.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is, think about this. From the very beginning, you had to go straight into action mode.
Yeah.
You didn't have time to read the playbook or say, what am I supposed to do as the council person?
Yeah.
You were already dealing with the community, and you went straight into, okay, I'm a mama. I'm going into mama mode. I'm going to make it work. That's what mamas do. They make it work.
Make it work.
And you made it work. I remember you had an event up at Rockhurst, and it was on a Saturday. And I was like, boy, this lady right here, she want me to get up and come up here on a Saturday. But I was not going to let you down. I was going to be there on that Saturday. And the good thing was, you never asked anybody to do something that you weren't going to do yourself.
That's true. So true.
And you've not stopped. I mean, I've watched you for, years now.
6.5 years.
6.5 years. 6.5 years, nonstop. So let's move. Your freshman year was kind of almost like, because we're both Divine Nine. And so, you kind of get thrown out there and you just got to do what you have to do.
Right.
And so you just went out and you did what you knew to do.
Yeah. And what the community needed.
Yeah.
You know,
yes.
I think we had so many, the businesses were
Yes.
struggling.
Oh my God.
We had our the neighborhood, in our communities, we already don't have a lot. And
Hello?
so to go out, and have to deal with the pandemic, and we
Yes.
know that many of our loved ones, I think back to how many in my family were lost during that time frame.
Yes.
And so, just understanding the challenges that every family, every individual was going through.
Yeah.
And I firmly believe that if, while I'm in this role, if I have an ability to help somebody, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to leverage the position to help as many people as I can. And I mean, we had so many food giveaways. I
oh my
stopped
God.
counting.
It was
we were doing them
insane.
every month because there was so much need in our community.
Yeah.
But that actually set it up for us to do this annual back to school giveaway where we give out 4,000 to 5,000 backpacks to help our kids go back to school. And the biggest thing, to my surprise, really is that we still have a lot of people that need the food. We partner with different organizations to give out fresh fruits and vegetables, and these families need it. So
one of the things that I think you and I used to talk about a lot was the 5th District and the work that needs to be done in the 5th District. And the one thing that I can honestly say that I know for a fact that during, even now, they have meetings at the Southeast Community Center. And for some reason, it's just like whenever I see it, because I'm no longer in the 5th District, you're always there. And that makes a difference. It means a lot to the community when their representative is available. So now we're in our second term. And second term hit us hard too because public safety just went off the Richter scale. It was like we started having murders like we have breakfast. And unfortunately. Yeah. And a lot of it was occurring in and at the time, our district. And you went to work. Mm-hmm. You immediately went to work. You immediately became a part of the public safety task force, and you have not let up. Mm-hmm. You have not let up.
Yeah.
How do you balance that?
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a great question because I don't know. I just do. I just keep moving. It takes some good vitamins.
Good vitamins. Need some of those.
But, like I said, it's all about trying to serve while I'm here and just doing everything that I can, everything in my power. And, ultimately I'm a problem solver. I'm here to find solutions. And when one of the things that I do is I do these neighborhood walking tours, where, because I believe elected officials, we're all going to change, especially because we're term limited. So we all will change. But it's important to me to empower the residents,
the community,
with the information and the education they need so that as problems arise for them, they know who to contact. They know these city leaders that are making things happen at the city. And so I started doing these neighborhood walking tours and really identifying, hearing from them, from their mouths, what the priorities are. And of course, across every corner, every block in this city, public safety is the number one issue. People want to feel safe where they live, work, and play. And, it really is difficult to scroll through the phone or watch the news to see yet another young life cut short. And I had really just got to the point where I had enough, like everybody else. And I felt like, somebody needs to do something, and we need to do something here in Kansas City, unprecedented, to address it. And that's where the $30 million for violence prevention came from. And it's $6 million over 5 years, and just really proud of the work that I was able to do to get that passed by the council, as well as the work they're getting ready to release the 2-year results of the program, kind of where what we've been able to accomplish. And I just had a meeting this morning. I haven't seen the report yet, but they told me that the numbers look really good, that we are truly investing those dollars and getting a good return for the taxpayer. So anyway, I don't know when this is going to air, but that information will be out soon.
Okay, great. So it will probably be out before this airs, because this will either air next week or the following week. But when it does air, it's still going to be important, because a lot of people don't follow or listen to the news. And I'm going to say, with you going in the neighborhood tours and talking to the people, you're actually giving community civics. One of the things that I noticed at being in this position was that most residents don't have civics. They don't understand how our leadership works. I've been in a setting where Congressman Cleaver was the guest speaker, and they opened it up for questions, and people were asking him about city things, like, well, what are y'all gonna do about these potholes in the road, or the street lights on my block? And I'm like, oh no, we
Right.
really don't know. It's not that they didn't mean well. They had good questions, but they don't know who to talk to.
That's right.
And so I think that was important. So before we go into your next journey, I want to talk a little bit about, because I got to know you as a mom, a wife, and even as a Christian. Your faith is very important to you. And I know you're very proud of your family. So let's talk about them. I can't let you get away without talking about Mike Shaw.
Right.
Because he'll remind me, you had her on the show?
Yeah, he sure will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I will say that he actually, because he's been a public servant, he's worked for the city for about 28 years now. He really showed me what a true public servant does and how they respond. And we work really hard for this city. And I would many times would be there on Saturdays and Sundays when the council people would call and ask for trash to be picked up in their neighborhood, and he would literally get up and go himself on Saturday and Sunday. Sometimes I would ride with him, and he would be picking up or making sure that things got picked up to make sure that those council members in those districts got what they needed.
Well, I'll say this, shout out to the reason I had to do that. Shout out to Mike Shaw, because never once in all the years that I've known you guys have I not been able to call him and say, hey, I remember at one time I stayed up. I mean, I raked like 19 bags of leaves and set them out and didn't realize they don't pick up leaves.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what am I supposed to do with all these leaves? They're going to end up being wet bags all over. And I called him, and sure enough, the next day, the leaves were gone when I came from work.
Yeah.
The one thing I can say is you all as a family care about the city. It's not one or the other. I mean,
That's
you
true.
all both care about the city, and your children as well. And you have how many sons?
Two sons and a daughter. Yeah,
Okay,
and our daughter lives in Atlanta, but yeah, they our kids come by it honestly just from seeing him working for the city on behalf of the city and doing whatever's necessary. I remember back, I forgot what year it was, but the ice storm that we had where power was out for about a whole week. And he, ultimately was working every day and every night trying to get those tree limbs cleaned up. I think it was like a 6 or 8 week initiative that they had to work on. And so, our kids understand. And now, they're adults now, but, watching me and helping me even to identify issues. And it's funny to have our son or call and say, hey, Dad, it's a pothole on such and such. Or here's some trash that needs to be picked up. So, But what a lot of people don't know, I think people make assumptions about how we function, but it's really about giving our all to this city. And on Sundays after church, we literally, like we don't have anything else to do, we will literally ride around the city, and he'll be looking to try to address issues that council members are concerned about. I'm looking for constituent issues, and we ride around the city trying to come up with, solutions. Yeah. So, as strange as it sounds, it's actually brought us closer together because it gives us more, we're working harder together on behalf of the city.
Well, and that's called servant leadership. You get out of church, and you go straight into continuing to serve the community and the people. And that will segue me into, so why, what made you decide that I want to be the mayor of Kansas City? I want to do this. I have the heart for it.
So as I said, I have a heart to serve. As you said, I have a heart to serve. And for me, it's about really being the change that I want to see. And I have dedicated just about every waking hour to this city and trying to do my best to make it better. And I believe I've been able to implement a lot of great policy and made a lot of change in the time frame that I've been here. Well, because we are term limited, I really have no choice. If I want to continue doing this great work for the city, I've got to be the mayor.
Yeah.
So I think, the things that I've been able to accomplish, and actually, I don't even really take that credit for myself, because the solutions that I brought really are for me partnering and listening to the residents, listening to the community, because many times they have the solution. They just need somebody to listen to them and help them
implement,
connect them to the resources, connect them to ensure that it gets done. And so you talked about the the public safety, multidisciplinary public safety task force, which actually that was a concept that came out of my work as a healthcare professional. But listening to the community and understanding, kind of looking at it from a process standpoint and looking at how we can improve our processes in the city. Because one of the things that had occurred that really started that was we had a mass shooting on Prospect.
Right.
And in the investigation of that, after there were about 9 people that were shot. After that, as we were investigating, and I actually was talking with Melissa Johnson. She was in the mayor's office at the time. And what we found is that there were issues that had occurred with that business. And many different departments were actually working. There were violations that they had, and the different departments actually were looking at those things. But the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. And I said, we possibly could have had a way could have possibly prevented something had we been talking. And when you think about it, if you're go to the hospital or if you're sick, you have a multidisciplinary team that helps you. The doctor, you've got the nurse, you've got the social worker, you've got the pharmacist.
That's right.
And all of those people come together to fix the problem.
Right.
So ultimately, that concept really was born out of that. And it has been very successful as we have been able to prevent some of the crimes before they even start because those departments are working together. And so it's those type of solutions that I know I can continue to bring to the mayor's office and lead our city into additional improvement. In addition to growth, I think Kansas City is primed for growth right now.
Oh, absolutely.
And we have an excellent opportunity to continue to expand that through additional housing. And my role that I play as the chair of our Neighborhood Planning Development Committee really gives me an opportunity to see how we can adjust and expand our growth here in Kansas City. So anyway, I know I've got a lot of great support systems that are working in partnership with me. And I think taking that information and being the calm servant leader that this city needs, I think I'll be right for that.
I like that calm servant leader. You got to stay calm. You definitely have to stay calm because you constantly are faced with adversity and people complaining or someone mad because you didn't look at them. But there's so much that can happen when you have the right leader in place. And so I'm looking at, several things. So let's talk World Cup. We're like days away from World Cup, not months, we are months, but days. You can look at days. We're less than 365. So I think we're like 120 or 118, 19. We're somewhere in there.
It's right around the corner.
It's here. And so when we start thinking about this, we should have been building this a long time ago. And I know that the endeavor was to do so, make this 1KC. We still have this divided situation. Let me say that. I think there's things happening that are making it better or trying to make it better. But as the mayor, are there any innovative ideas that you can share with me if you became mayor? This is something that I would endeavor to do to even bring more unity to our community.
So I really think the challenges that we have are about building bridges.
Mm-hmm.
We need to continue to build bridges throughout our community
Yeah.
and establish more collaborative relationships, which is one of actually some of the strategies really I'm already working on.
Mm-hmm.
I serve as the co-chair of the Regional Housing Partnership. I've been doing this for 2.5 years. When I talk about Kansas City being prime for growth, we know we need 64,000 housing units in our city and across our region. And so I've been working with our counterparts across the state line
Yeah.
and, in other cities as well, Independence Lee Summit, to address some of the housing challenges that we have. Because, homelessness and housing they don't stop at the state line or the
Right.
city line or the county line.
Yes.
We're all having to address those.
Yes.
The other issue that we have is workforce. We have, Kansas City, Missouri is the economic engine. We are the largest city, but if we do not continue to be nimble
Yeah.
and adjust as we need to, Kansas City will stay stagnant. And so with the World Cup and all these great things that we've been able to accomplish, we are on a great trajectory to really grow Kansas
Yeah.
City. And so being able to take the information, the connections, the collaboration that I've established to create a workforce that will lead us into the next generation. So a workforce talent pipeline. So the small businesses, the large businesses have the employees that they need to be able to grow Kansas City in a way that we know that it can grow.
Yeah.
So those are, the strategies that I'm
Yeah.
really looking to implement is in building those relationships, even at the state. We know we're a Democratic city and a Republican with a Republican legislature.
Yeah.
But, we've got to still build bridges where we can, because ultimately, I think there's alignment there. You just got to find it.
Yeah.
That there's alignment. Everybody wants to feel safe. Everybody wants to grow. So you just have to find out, what are the priorities and how do they align, and figure out how you can move this city forward. And I believe I am primed and ready to do that.
I hear you now. She said, I am primed and ready to do that. So let's march on down to the election coming up. What do we need to know about it?
So the election coming up in April. So definitely the earnings tax.
Yeah.
The earnings tax will be on the ballot. And, the earnings tax is a significant portion of our general fund.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important because it covers our public safety, covers our first responders, the trash, solid waste, the streets, roads, there are many departments that are funded out of the general fund. So renewing that, so I want to make sure your viewers know that it's a renewal. It's not a new tax. It's not an increase.
Right.
We are seeking to renew that. What you talked about people not understanding or not knowing everything civically. So I want to make sure that I point out that only that 50% of that earnings tax is actually paid for people that don't live in Kansas City.
Wow.
Because if you work in Kansas City, no matter wherever you live,
that's right.
You actually, that 1% of your earnings actually goes to the general fund.
Right.
And so it allows for Kansas City residents to be able to spread the love, so to speak, to others to help our city, to help fund the baseline of our city. So I am strongly supporting the earnings tax and would ask your viewers and voters to support the earnings tax, renewing the earnings tax.
Okay. Now, I wanted to kind of throw in some of the big things that everybody's sitting on pins and needles about. Royal Stadium.
I know you got
Kauffman Stadium.
The Royals, yeah.
The thing is, I've heard this a lot. A lot of times decisions are made that affect the East Side that don't include the East Side. And I find it probably more problematic when we don't include the people that it's going to affect, but also being able to have new voices. And when I say new voices, there is a world of young people that are are intelligent and educated and civic minded and very interested and wanting to sit down and have conversation and be heard. And they feel like that the oligarchs are holding it down and probably part of the problem that we haven't moved the needle. Will you be a mayor that allows the next generation an opportunity to speak?
Of course, 100%.
Yeah.
One, because my kids are a part of that generation, and they are working very closely with me on my campaign and helping to guide me through that from their eyes, from their lens. But I tell you, less than 24 hours ago, I actually was with your sorority and the D Foundation.
We love you.
working with the youth on the cotillion.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you, I was so impressed. It brought tears to my eyes. I was so impressed with those young people because we did a mock city council meeting. So we had, council members and the mayor and mayor pro tem, and we came up with an ordinance that I had them to create. And they ask such great questions.
Yeah.
And I think, unfortunately, there are some people that believe, that maybe believe this new generation is lazy and, they feel entitled and all of that. I think if you just need to be open-minded and give them a chance and talk with them and listen.
Yeah.
And I think people will feel differently. I was so impressed and just really excited about the future of Kansas City when these leaders start taking over.
Absolutely.
So the short answer to your question is yes.
Yes.
I believe that our democracy will be better when all voices can be heard, young, old, no matter what race they are. And so I will be a mayor that will listen and that will welcome all of that diversity.
And we need that. We
do.
need it because you were the next generation at one time.
Right.
And there's got to be a next generation ready to come and ready to move in and carry the torch. Mm-hmm. We will not be in these seats forever. And if we leave the seat empty, then shame on us. I don't know. That being the chamber, we open our table and our mics to all candidates. So any candidate that feels like they want to come on the show and talk about it, they are more than welcome to reach out. And I'll say this, that whoever you are, you need to be able to lead Kansas City into the next to the future, into the next journey. We are a city that are coming from being known as a cow town to being a city that people want to come to.
Yeah, we're known internationally.
We are known across the world. And one of the things that I would like to see us do more of is be intentional about us investing and us. And when I say us, I mean the Black community being able to say, we have an investment, we want to have a voice. And so being able to say, we want to come in with our investment, let us know what we need to bring. Sometimes we don't know what we don't know. So if we don't know that there's this big development that's going to affect Kansas City, and even though it's going to affect the East Side, nobody bothers to ask, is there any money in the East Side that wants to invest in this whole pie? Or are we just going to make the pie and give you a piece? So
I think you really, what you mentioned, really, that makes me think about another issue that we have in Kansas City that I really work to address. And, it's budget season. They just rolled out our budget on Thursday. And, many people don't understand that the budget process actually starts the year before.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the city's way of communicating and engaging the public really hasn't been complex enough or comprehensive enough to engage people in the process. And so they don't even know.
Yes.
And so I actually worked with staff and they went out for about almost a year and a half, going out to the community to find out what's the best way for the city to engage and educate you about what's happening with the city.
Yes.
And that process, they actually came up with a comprehensive plan. There's a best practice that other cities are using nationwide. And I'm hoping that us implementing that under my leadership, the city city manager is working to implement that now, that more people will be educated about everything with the city. So if there are opportunities for, to partner with the city or invest in different projects, that individuals or businesses, whatever community is, will have more information and know how they can get involved in that. Because I think, sometimes I can just tell, because I've worked in the private sector, they get so busy kind of working on the issues that they hadn't necessarily worked to engage the community in a manner that was sufficient enough. And just to bring it home. So in our budget sessions, we have hundreds of people that show up and tell us how they, so in those public hearings, tell us how they think the money should be spent. But in the summer before the budget is released, literally this particular year, we had 25 people show up in these 6 sessions across the whole city. When you look at how many were, because they did it online as well, I think there were like 30 people. And I know in a city of over 500,000 people, more than those few people care about it. And it's evidenced by how many people show up in the public hearing. They just don't know when to show up. They just don't understand the process. So I feel like it's our duty, it's our responsibility to make sure that we get that information out to the residents, because we're using their taxpayer dollars. We're here to serve them. So how can we adequately serve them if they don't even know? And so anyway.
That's one of the things that I'm hoping to start working with the city closely with, would being able to put that kind of information on our platform, because I think part of what we should be doing is making sure that we're touching the complete ecosystem, and that we're convening all of our residents and our small businesses and our corporate partners and our government. We should be convening everyone in a space where the information is there. There's something coming up. It's called Roundtable with Raina. Tell us a little bit about that. I can't talk about it because, it's here.
So actually, the roundtable, Small Business Roundtable, actually it addresses really what you just said. It is my attempt to really work with our small businesses, because I know collectively our small businesses actually are the number one employer in our city, in many cities across the country. And so I'm hosting these roundtables, or requesting these roundtables, so that I can really talk with the small businesses to understand how the city can be a better partner with them. What are the barriers? What are the challenges? And then how as I'm looking to build out my administration and my strategies as Kansas City's next mayor, what are the things that they think we should be focusing on, and how can the city reduce some of the red tape? I'm a small business owner. I've actually opened a business in Kansas City, and I've opened one in 2 other cities, actually, across the state line, and one in Independence as well. And so I have the perspective. I can see how the struggles that, that many of our Kansas City businesses face, because I've been one. I am one. And so while I think we've done a lot, the BizCare office has done a lot to streamline processes. I know as small business owners, there are a lot of challenges. You got to be jack of all trades. You got to, you've got to be a master at HR and accounting, all of these different things. And in addition to running your business. And so I think, there are strategies I think we can implement as a city to be a better partner with our businesses, so that we all can thrive.
Right. Well, I will say that I love some of your strategies and your thought patterns. Of course, bringing departments together so that they can communicate with one another. The more they communicate, sometimes, like you said, you can find out that we're both working on the same thing. Let's just fill this gap and get it done. And so that's important. One of the last things I'm going to ask you about, as far as the city is concerned, is CREO. CREO is it's a big deal. I will say that I've heard lately that it's gotten better. However, it still needs some work. And addressing CREO is going to be probably one of the small businesses' number one issues, especially now since the state has come out with new ordinances regarding the DBE certification and having to prove that why you're a DBE. If you can't look at my bank account and tell that I'm broke, but and how you became disadvantaged, all these things. And they're asking about school and things like that. How is the city going to be able to handle that much more oversight?
Mhm.
Because now they're talking, we want you to do even more work.
Yeah, so I think definitely our CREO department, Civil Rights and Equal Opportunity Department, is really working. I know they were having some staffing issues.
Mhm.
I think those have kind of leveled out. And it's funny, the meeting I just came from, actually, we were talking about the opportunities there. And I think that the city is really working. We've got to function within the state statutes that are put up on us.
Mhm.
And so I know that the city manager is working diligently with Jaime and that the team, the CREO team, to make sure that we, are well in alignment with the federal and state government. And so I think at this point, there have been several meetings that have occurred to try to figure out how we need to adjust and where
Yeah.
we need to adjust. And I would expect probably over the next 4 to 6 months or so, we'll see that movement level out and an opportunity to see more stability. I'll put it
Yeah.
that way, more stability for our Black and brown
Yeah.
businesses.
Well, I'll say this. Um, I don't get to cast a vote since I'm in the summit. However, I will say our business is in Kansas City, our chamber is in Kansas City, and we would like to make sure that whoever sits in the mayor's seat, that we have a relationship with them and that we are able to assist one another in the building of Kansas City and the continued bridge building. I think that's the most important thing, is the bridge building. We have a lot more coming to Kansas City. I've been privy to some of the upcoming great things that may be happening. And I think that if World Cup doesn't teach us anything, it should teach us preparation is the first rule to success.
Mm-hmm.
If we're going to succeed, we got to be prepared. So I want to
Exactly.
thank Raina for coming on today. It was fun. Of course, this is not going to be your last time on because I'll be
Right.
looking for my people to show up. I will say that I appreciate the work that you have done. It has been consistent, it has been steady, and it has been calm. And so thank you again for coming on Straight from the Heart, where we just talk facts and we just talk. We don't come with fluff. We don't come with lies. We don't come with deceit. We just talk. And if you stay tuned, you'll continue to see us moving ahead. If you have a topic or something you'd like to talk about, hit us up at the Heartland Black Chamber of Commerce on our info at Heartland Black Chamber. And always remember, I couldn't do this show without AGA Production. These guys are number one, top in the nation. And if you need good podcasting, give me a call. I'm their manager. Thanks. See you later.